Hey guys, it's Core Ross and Web 6 News. So today we're doing our reality check of the Year 6 reveal. Now I do this every year when the dust and the hype settles and we go back and we look at everything, because especially with this one, it was really confusing to watch the reveal and go, wait a minute, is that coming this season, next season, or like is it coming at the end of the year? It was really confusing this time around. So in this video, we're just going to break it all down and make it far easier to understand and give you all the information that you need. So first up is a group of things that will be coming all at the same time. That is using drones while you're dead, so actually driving them around when you're a dead operator, and attacker repick during the preparation phase. And along with that is also going to come a bulletproof camera rework. And this is all about changing the balance of the game towards the attackers. Right now it is more balanced towards the defenders. So the way attacker repick is going to work is during the preparation phase. So this is the point when the attackers are droning out the defenders and the defenders are setting up and the attackers haven't yet spawned into the map. They can at any point switch to a new operator. And of course, when they spawn, they're unable to change. But at any point during the preparation phase, they can just keep switching to any operator they like. It is going to change a few things. So for instance, Twitch will actually spawn with a normal drone instead of a Twitch drone during the preparation phase. But when she spawns, she'll be able to put out her two usual drones. This is actually going back to how it used to be. She used to spawn with a normal drone and then actually have her two drones on her. So it's just going back to how it used to be back in the old days. Not only that, they mentioned that this is going to change operator creation as well. This means we will get a new operator at some point on defense who is going to be all about hiding intel. So this could be like maybe making it so you can't scan players and ID them, or maybe it'll just make operators look like different operators so you can kind of confuse the enemy team and mess up their setups when they spawn in or stuff like that. Or maybe they'll put down like decoy gadgets or something. But certainly they're thinking about bringing in an operator that is going to be all about messing with the attackers during the preparation phase. And presumably they will also mess with them during the round 2 by doing other stuff that makes things look like other things or something. And then that leads us on to using drones while dead. So this does affect mostly attackers, because attackers do have a lot of drones, and with this feature coming in, a lot of people are going to be very good at not getting their drone destroyed now. So this is going to be huge for attackers, but it will help defenders as well. Echo and Maestro will be able to use their gadgets to their full potential when they are dead. So they're going to be able to fire the lasers from Maestro's turrets or drive around and use the Echo Sonic Blast from Echo's drone. So that's a big buff for both of those operators. We'll have to see if that means they get nerfed in any other way. And actually we will talk about a Maestro nerf later that they talked about. But yeah, this is huge and is going to completely change gameplay. I've actually done a poll on this and I'm surprised to see that people aren't actually too worried about this, although there is some people who hate this idea, and I actually can't wait to see it being added into the game and played around with. And we'll get onto that shortly, but this is going to be a feature that will be played with first on like the test servers for potentially multiple seasons before it actually comes to live, so that they can figure out if it is indeed a bad idea or if it's a good idea. So don't get too worried about it. This will also be on the test server for a long time. Then we've got the bulletproof camera rework. This is also going to come with these changes because the reason for this rework is to counter the fact that drones are going to get more powerful. So bulletproof cameras are going to be able to look around, probably just very similar to a Valkyrie camera, and actually look like left to right, up and down, and all that. And they're going to be equipped with an EMP dart that they can fire off at attacker gadgets. This will disable all gadgets from drones to claymores to stuff like thermite charges. It won't destroy them, but it'll just kind of disable them for a short term. So it'll be more of a nuisance to attackers, but it'll give you the ability to kind of slow down that new drone meta that is going to pop up as soon as this comes into effect. And that leads us on to actually, when is it going to come into effect? So it's going to come to the test server for Year 6 Season 2 as an early version, and presumably we are probably talking something like 2 seasons until we actually see it come to live. It could be 1, but they do talk about in the live stream where they're going to bring stuff to the test server that'll be on there for a minimum of 2 seasons to actually get tested and see how it really changes things. Now that's pretty much the only feature of year 6 that was actually given any kind of timeline. The rest of the stuff we're about to go over, most of it has no timeline whatsoever, but presumably the aims of the developers are to get it all out during year 6. So let's move on to the Armour system rework, and this is also going to include a little bit of a change to Rook as well and how he works. So first of all, the Armour system is going away. It's going to be replaced with just pure health. So a 3-speed will spawn with 100 health, a 2-speed 120 health, and a 1-speed 140 health. So damage reduction multipliers and stuff like that are just going away, and instead it's just going to be health. Now, presumably when you get hit in the arm and stuff like that, you're still going to have a reduction in damage, but there's no kind of armor playing any point in it. And also for Rook, when you pick up his armor plates, you're just going to be given some base health instead. So instead of getting armor plates that make you basically take less damage, you're just going to get more health on top of what you already have. Now this change of course sounds like it's actually quite a massive change to the whole system, but the base kind of way of looking at it is overall it's not actually going to change that much, because you would have taken reduced damage from shots, and instead of taking reduced damage you just have more health to make up for it. So overall it's actually a very similar system. It just looks very different when you're playing the game, and should be a kind of simpler way to look at things and easier, but presumably this could open the door to other changes that we haven't yet thought of. And this armor to health change we have no timeline on whatsoever. It could be coming very quickly. It seems like a simple enough change, but it could be multiple seasons away. Now moving on to something that is actually coming this season, that is the Gun 6, the new explosive secondary pistol. This is going to be out with the Crimson Heist season. I've already done a breakdown on it if you want to go check it out. But we'll move on to something that is more in the future, and that is the Goyo Rework. Now we got to see some gameplay of this, but very early prototype. You can see that the canister is bulletproof on one side, so that Goyo can place it down so he can detonate it easily, or one of his defenders can, but the attackers would have a harder time blowing it up. And you can also see that it's untextured, so this is presumably still quite early on, and the next time we see it, it could well be quite different. But this is basically how he was originally envisioned by the developers, and it didn't work out too well, so they went and put it on the shield to make it a bit better. So now it's back to that kind of idea they had before that didn't work too well. So I'm curious how they're going to actually get this to be a good gadget and work, and how many is he going to get, because this thing should be weaker overall but more versatile. So does he end up getting more of these? We'll have to wait and see. And when this is actually going to come out, we don't have a clue. There's no timeline whatsoever. Presumably it will show up in the test server at some point, maybe in the first half of this year, but that's best guess. Now up next is a Melusi Rework. This one looks very far on. The actual gameplay they showed looked to be very well developed. There was a full animation for the Melusi opening up and then being able to be shot. And this looks to me like it could be something that actually pops up next season. So we'll have to wait and see. That's a pure guess from me again. There was no timeline given. It looks to make these gadgets far, far weaker than they currently are. So presumably they might give her an extra gadget back again to make up for the weakness. But certainly this is going to change Melusi's role quite considerably. Instead of using these to slow enemy down, it's more going to be about just simple detection and a very short amount of time of distraction when it comes to these gadgets. There's no timeline on this rework, but like I say, it looks to be well developed, so maybe we'll see it in the test server next season. Potentially we might get it next season, but it could also be a couple of seasons away. Pure guess at this point. Next up for reworks is Mira and Maestro. Now these are getting pretty simple reworks. They're both the same, which is that you can walk up to their gadgets and you can melee them and it will smash the glass. So for Maestro's turret, you can walk up to it, smash the glass, and that will make it so that Maestro cannot see. The only way he'll be able to see what's going on is to actually open the glass, making his gadget more vulnerable. So this will be a big nerf to him, but it's also kind of still keeping that kind of bulletproof aspect. You'll still be able to hear, so presumably he'll still be useful. And of course, remember, he's going to be able to use his gadget once he's dead as well. So yeah, this probably won't be too much of a problem for Maestro, but when it comes to Mira, it's a pretty significant nerf, as the attackers are going to be able to walk up to the mirror window and melee it in order to smash the glass and actually block vision. There's going to be kind of sections to the glass, so maybe hitting it in 3 different sections will make it completely blocked, and Mira will no longer be able to see out, which forces her to either open the window or abandon it entirely. Now, presumably what's going to actually happen here is people will just reposition Mira windows into positions where it'll be harder to actually get up and melee them, so using them on external reinforced walls might become a thing of the past, or at least used far less often, and using them more internally on sites might become more popular. Now, there's no timeline or gameplay on these changes, so presumably we're looking at something that might come later in the year, but they're simple enough changes that we could potentially see these actually being released alongside a mid-season update for one of the future seasons as well, to kind of surprise us. And then we start to move into the more vague reworks. So we're going to be getting a Fuze rework in the future, and the only information given about this is that his gadget will be made more useful all of the time. So I'm not sure what that rework would be, but making it more useful all of the time is certainly an interesting way to put it, and I'm kind of curious to see what they'll actually do with Fuze. And then we've got a Finka rework. So Finka is going to be able to self-revive. Now, there could be more changes with this too, but they specifically mention the self-revive. Again, this is a change that could potentially come with like a mid-season balancing or with a future season, but again, no timeline was given. Now, moving away from reworks, we're going to be having a far smaller game size. So when you install it on your computer or your console, it's just going to take up a fraction of the space that it currently does. This is because they're going to be introducing some new technology for textures. So it's all going to look as good as it currently does, but on the actual hard drive, it's going to take up far less space. And not only that, but all cosmetics will be server side now. This means that when you load into a game, the actual cosmetics that everyone will be wearing will be streamed over to you for that round. And they're relatively small, so don't worry about bandwidth. But it does mean, because it's all done server side, that they could easily add in an actual button in the settings that just switches that feature off, and everyone could end up just wearing default uniforms no matter what. And that would be a great addition, but whether they actually do it, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly it should be possible. And overall, that'll make the game install even smaller, because you don't have all these constant cosmetics getting added to the game, and obviously you have to install to actually have them there just in case someone's wearing them. So this will dramatically reduce the amount of download you need to update the game, and that will be awesome. Now, talking about cosmetics, we're going to be getting elite customization, but also quite a lot more as well. So first of all, elites will be broken down into their component parts. This means that you're going to be able to mix and match headgear with whatever you want. You'll be able to switch on or off the MVP animation, and also the in-game cards that actually comes up for your operator profile will also be able to switch on and off. And these will all be represented inside the menu. So in-game, you're going to have a menu for MVP animations. You're going to have one for operator cards. And presumably that means that those kind of cosmetics will start to get added into the store. So you can buy different operator cards and presumably different MVP animations that aren't actually linked to any elites, which means more potential cosmetic options that Ubisoft could sell you. And there's already a bunch in the game. So for instance, we have like the MVP animations from like the events that we've seen previously, and we've also got the in-game operator cards that again we've seen in events, which could just be added straight into the store and be purchasable. Again, no time frame was given for elite customization, but presumably this is actually not too far away, and it's probably one of their priorities right now, because it's going to make them a ton of money. Now let's actually change gears here and talk about a teaser that was in the year 6 reveal, and it was simply a portal from Rick and Morty, which means we're getting a Rick and Morty and Rainbow Six Siege crossover. Now presumably this is going to be a mid-season event. It could be though that it's just an elite, or it's just a cosmetic bundle, or even just a weapon skin, who knows. But my thinking is here this will be a mid-season event at some point this year, and we'll of course have like paid packs that are Rick and Morty themed. So yeah, that's my thinking. I think we're going to be seeing that of course at some point in the year, but let me know your best guesses in the comments below. Now the next feature we're going to go over is streamer mode. So this is coming with Crimson Heist, but it's a client-side only version at this moment in time, so it's not particularly useful. A lot of streamers are very, very disappointed with it, because this has actually been in the works for over 9 months now. They actually brought in streamers to consult on it, and Unfortunately, the actual kind of features that streamers want are coming later in the year. We have no time frame whatsoever, but presumably this is going to take some time before it actually shows up in game. So yeah, unfortunately, we might still have to be waiting on an actual streamer mode that will come later in year 6. And then let's talk about menu update and logo rebranding. So the logo rebranding is coming with Crimson Heist. We've seen the new logo, it's being used. We've got new splash artwork that you'll see when you boot the game up, and we're going to be getting new menus, but the new menus right now are not in the test server for Crimson Heist. They might appear, but presumably the reworked menus will be coming at some point in the future. Most of them look exactly the same as normal, just cleaner. But the cosmetics ones actually look like they could be an improvement over the previous, but we'll have to wait and see. Then we've got the reputation system. Of course, this was actually announced last year, and the information that they gave us this year is basically all the same information that they gave us the previous year, although they have let us know that the reputation system is currently live. It is working in the background. It has been for a few seasons. It is watching you, but it is not visible. You can't see how you're doing. The rewards and penalties kind of side of things is not yet being implemented. This is another kind of feature that could be like next season, or it could be all the way at the end of the year, or presumably maybe even see it at the next 6 invitationals. But right now, this is a feature that got slowed down by COVID and hopefully will show up this year and be a very useful system, hopefully. And then we've got ranked rework and matchmaking changes. So ranked is going to be reworked. It has been basically the same since launch. It uses the Microsoft TrueScale system. So it's going to be presumably using something brand new that is going to be very different from what we currently have, but we have zero information on it. It could be that it's just tiny little tweaks, or it could be a complete overhaul. Right now we have no info. I suspect this will be far later in the year before we actually see it. We're also going to be seeing a change to matchmaking to try and make it fairer for matchmaking. I don't know if they'll succeed. So, and like I say, there's no details, but they are attempting to improve ranked and improve matchmaking overall. Another thing they're also looking at is smurfing and stuff like deranking. So they're going to be looking at trying to reduce that kind of impact on the game as well. I don't, again, know what they're actually planning to do here, but they say that they have got some plans for year 6 for this. We will have to just wait and see if anything, comes from this at all. I don't see how they can do it, but, I'm kind of hopeful that maybe there's something they have up their sleeves for this, but I'm not, I'm doubtful of it, but we'll see. And then we have improvements to new player introduction to the game. This is to kind of combat the fact that in order to learn Siege, you actually need to go out of Siege, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, ask some questions on some forums, or try and get a friend to help you. They're going to try and bring a lot of it in game so that you can learn about how an operator works inside the game. Don't know how that's going to be done, if it'll be as simple as there'll be some sort of video embedded inside that you can just click on, in an operator window and get an idea of how that operator works, or if it'll let you know who they counter, or it could be as simple as potentially something like a little kind of level that it loads up and lets you, team up with an AI thermite that you throw a Thatcher grenade out for, and that thermite would then come in and just, basically show you how those kind of operators interact with each other. Who knows? But they've got a cell actually dedicated now to those player introductions to the game, which will hopefully make it easier for new players to actually start playing Siege. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's a shortened version of their live stream with all the information they gave and how these different things are going to be coming. Like I say, there's not actually much when it comes to the time frames, but they did give us a lot of details of what's actually coming with operator reworks and stuff, and quite a lot of details on how they're actually going to work. So I'm looking forward to all that being added into the game over time. And like I say as well, a lot of it will come out on the test server first for potentially 2 seasons before we actually see it come to the live servers in the future. So if you're scared of being able to use the drones when you're dead and you think that's a terrible idea, there will be probably literally 2 seasons of that on the test server for them to play around with. And they might just say, you know what, this isn't working, we're not going to do it. So don't worry if you're scared by it. There will be a lot of time for a lot of feedback on all these different stuff. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.